Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is with your young adult.
Sure. My name is Tom, and I am a father of three. Jordan is my oldest. He's 19, and then I have a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old daughters. Jordan was very early on in his life. My wife is actually a special educator, and she picked up very early on some of the signs of Asperger's. But as he got into his late teens and entering into early adulthood, it was obvious there were some social things that were really challenging for him that he had not progressed on enough, that we were concerned about how that was going to play out once he got into college. So we had been praying about what to do and decided with Jordan, he was equally involved in making the decision to take a gap year so that he could really focus just on working on his social skills, making money for college. And we had a plan in place. And part of that plan was to work on his social skills. As we were thinking about that, the Lord laid on my heart, man, it would be awesome if Jordan could have a social coach.
Mhm.
And lo and through networking, I've learned of Steve Gundy. And so that's how we came to you. It was great to have a direct answer to prayer, and that became very important part of his year.
Tell us a little bit about the challenges that your son faced socially that created this gap year and need for coaching.
His challenge was always making those connections with people and developing relationships. Like, how do you do the small talk that actually starts a friendship? And how do you focusing on the other person? And how do you keep a conversation going so that you can actually build that relationship, not knowing when you need to take social cues when somebody is giving you the cue that they're not interested in talking right now or whatever. I remember there was this one time we went to one of his marching band competitions and we were on pit crew, my wife, and I saw Jordan would frequently be standing on the outskirts of a number of people talking. And I knew he so badly wanted to be in the conversation, but he didn't know how to. So that looked very awkward when people look at him like, why are you just standing there? That kind of a thing. And which then, of course, makes him feel horrible about himself. Just learning how to do the small talk to be able to initiate it. And also, how do you start a conversation to begin a friendship? All those little nuances of social communication. We've worked with him little by little over the years, but it was clear before he left for college, he really needed some focused time just on that, where he didn't have to think about a million different assignments and stuff that he's got to do. And he could just really work on that part of his life.
Think about Tom before I started working with Jordan and now after. And
Mhm.
somewhere in between the before and after, you and I had conversations here and there to support you as a parent. I worked with him during this gap time.
I think the biggest thing that's different was Jordan's confidence.
Mm.
I could see it rising as the year went. His confidence, not just in his ability to have social communication and build relationships, and also showing himself grace. That was huge. Jordan used to get so on himself and he'd go into Eeyore mode, as we call it in our home, where he'd just be so down and dragging around like when he felt like he failed at something or he felt, and I definitely saw a shift where he was much more gracious to himself and allowing himself to make mistakes and allowing himself to just be who he is and
Mm.
not try to be somebody he's not.
Why should a parent contact Steve Gundy Coaching right now?
If you're like me and you have a child who is on the spectrum and struggling, because our social lives are such an important part of who we are and how it affects our emotions and how we feel about ourselves and how we're able to function in life. If your child is feeling insecure about their ability to make friends and about their ability to navigate social communication, it's going to have a deep impact on them in every area of their life. I would say get ahead of that. Don't wait until they're struggling. Start now and help them get equipped so that when they get down the road and they're on their own, they're ready to go.
Speaking of now, Tom, how is college going? That's what we were en route to.
That's probably the most exciting thing for me in this conversation is just where he is. Honestly, Jordan executed his gap year flawlessly. We had 5 main goals for him, this being one of them, working on his social skills and making money. And he got a job, intentionally got a job in one of the environments that requires the most social communication, aka the service industry, and worked at Chick-fil-A and was constantly dealing with social situations all day long. And it was awesome for him, and especially in working with you, Steve, that he could go back and say, hey, this happened at work today, or I had this conversation, or I felt like this when this happened, and be able to go off of that. That just helped him so much. His confidence level really throughout that year, I could see it rising. And by the time we walked on campus for newly admitted students day, and I remember Susan and I were walking behind Jordan and his sister Caroline, and I could see him. He was walking with so much it was like a night and day from the first time we visited his college, where he looked very timid, scared. And then it was like, I just said to Susan, he's ready to go. He was chomping at the bit to get there. And since he's gotten there, he's got a great relationship with his roommate. He immediately connected with a bunch of his friends, as they call them Meckies, mechanical engineers, Meckies at their college, and made a great group of friends in his Mechie group. They play this card game all the time together, and they've been doing a lot of fun stuff together. Just talking with him, I can just see, wow, he's really thriving.
How has the growth of his confidence impacted you as a parent?
Immeasurably, honestly, just to know that he's doing well and that he's independent. I'm telling you, if we don't reach out to Jordan, he doesn't reach out to us. And that's not like Jordan. When he's struggling, he absolutely will reach out to us. To know that he is feeling good about himself, that he's confident. So we were talking, and we do a Sunday night Zoom call with him and Carolyn. And I said something about dating. I don't even remember how it came up. And we were joking around about something. And he goes, actually, and we're like, actually, what? Actually, there is a girl I'm very interested in.
So his confidence growing in coaching sessions, okay, where during a coaching session, we create necessary pauses to talk about those crucial moments that otherwise suddenly we get to the other side of and have a memory about that drains and lowers our confidence. Now we take a pause in coaching sessions over repeated number of times that then creates that growth moment, that grows that confidence, that creates the moments now that you get to have with him that brings joy to your life with them, because now you're talking about girlfriends instead of just trying to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.